Podcast Answer Man, episode number 223.
Entertaining, educational, and encouraging content that makes a difference.
This is GSPN.TV.
Join the community.
Hey, this is Rick, co-founder and CEO of Blog World New Media Expo, and you're listening to the Podcast Answer Man.
Well, hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Podcast Answer Man. My name is Cliff Ravenscraft, and this is the podcast about podcasting, helping you take your show to the next level. It doesn't matter if you're a brand new podcaster, if you've been podcasting for many years, or you haven't quite yet recorded that first episode. There's something we can all do to take our show to the next level. Hey everybody, welcome back to the show. I am excited to bring to you some more hopefully valuable content, and believe it or not, I am not going to talk endlessly for 5 to 7 minutes. Instead, I am going to jump right into our very first question of the day, because there is so much I want to get into this episode. We're going to start things off with my good friend and co-host of Business Tech Weekly, Andy Traub. Andy, take it away, my friend.
Hey, Cliff, it's Andy. Hey, I've consolidated all my podcasts onto one network now, and I have an issue with the titles. It's pulling in the name from my WordPress installation under the General tab, and then the category title instead of the title I'd like for it to go in. So instead of Linchpin Podcast, it says Take Permission Media Network. Then it has 2 hashtags or arrows, if you will, and then Linchpin Podcast. So you can see what I'm talking about in iTunes. If you look up Linchpin Podcast, it does the same thing for my Natural Childbirth Podcast. That's a brand new one. And I'm trying to figure out how to adjust that title, or if I'm pulling them all from the same site, if that's just the way that they're going to look, which is fine too. But let me know if that can be changed, and I appreciate your help. Thanks, man.
Natural Childbirth Podcast? Seriously? Anyway, so thanks, Andy. Yeah, absolutely, it can be changed. I know that you're following the process that I have personally trained you in, and what you want to do there, of course, is use Feedburner, and I know that you're doing that, and that's where you're seeing where basically what's going on is you're sending the feed from WordPress, even though it's a category feed. You're still sending the feed from WordPress, and WordPress is sending over the name of the site and then the quote-unquote tagline of the site, and then it's showing your category. And so what you want to do when you're in there, when you first burn your feed with Feedburner, it's going to ask you your category and then description and all of those other things. And you click all the way through and click next, 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 next. And you fill out all the information as you go along, but you hit next, next, next. And finally it says, done, you're done. It's great. And then you click the view the feed, feeds.feedburner.com/whatever natural childbirth podcast that you have. It pulls it up in the URL, and sure enough, it's got everything pulled right from the site description. And that's not what you want, and it's not acceptable, even if it has to. You want to be in complete control, right? Well, this is one good thing that you can control. So what you want to do is, once you have set up your feed with Feedburner, you go in, you click on that feed, go into the place where it's got the different tabs, optimize and troubleshootize and all the other I's that they have there. What you want to do is you want to click on the optimize tab, all right? In fact, I'm going to do this real quick. I haven't done this in forever, so I'm just doing this by memory. You click on the Optimize tab, and then if you look over on the left-hand side, you're going to see SmartCast. All right, now SmartCast is the section where everything where you filled it out, by default, choosing all the category and things of that nature. That's where you're going to find all of those things if you ever want to change those. That's under SmartCast. But if you scroll down to the bottom, currently as I'm recording this, it's the third from the bottom, but you never know. They might change things around. But anyway, what you're looking for is an option called Title/Description Burner. Title/Description Burner. This is under the Optimize tab still. And basically you click on that and it's going to pull up and it's going to ask you for a new title. And this, my friend, is where you can put in the new title to read exactly the way you want it to read in iTunes. Now there's also an option in there for new description. I just leave that blank, all right? It basically just leave it blank. It's still going to pull the description or the what do they call it over there? I don't think they call it description under SmartCast. This podcast summary. So basically, they're still going to pull the podcast summary for the description of your podcast from your SmartCast section under Optimize. So just leave that blank and just fill out the new title and you're good to go. Hey, one other little thing. I'm just going to throw this in, a little extra tip for you. For those of you who have a Feedburner feed, now most people are not supposed to really ever see your Feedburner, your feed. Hopefully they're just clicking on a link or something like that. But if you're ever worried, sometimes it's like it's got the little Feedburner logo up there. I want to encourage you to have a 150 by 150 version of your artwork. Now they say it should be 144 by 144. What's 6 pixels between friends, right? So anyway, what you can do is you can actually click on Feed Image Burner, and then on the right hand side it's going to say Image Source, and you want to do the drop down and specify a custom URL. Then go ahead and upload your 150 by 150 or 144 by 144 if you're not a rebel like me. Then you can go ahead and upload that to the web somewhere, and then take a URL and paste it in there to that image. Throw it into the specify custom URL image place, and then you can even title that image. You can even say, this is my natural childbirth podcast or whatever, and then you put a link directly to that category on your WordPress site. You click activate, and if somebody does happen to look at your Feedburner feed on the top right hand corner, instead of seeing the Feedburner logo, they're now going to see the logo of your podcast. All right. And so therefore that would be a very cool thing, by the way. And then of course, if they click on it, it's going to take them to that place wherever you specified in the link area under Feed Image Burner. So Andy, I know that you personally already had this answer weeks ago, but I still wanted to go ahead and provide that information to you here. Next up, we're moving right along to Tim, who has a question about voicemail.
Hi, Cliff. It's Tim Cummings calling for the Unitarian Voices podcast, calling for the Podcast Answer Man program. And I'm wondering if you know of a good voicemail service that I can use to set up a voicemail line like you have so that I could play listener comments on my program. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you so much, Tim, for your question. This is a one I've covered a couple times in the past, but with 223 episodes now, I don't want to make people go back and re-listen to everything. So what I'll just do is give you a brief update here. I am using my favorite service. It's called Broad Voice, BROADVOICE.com, broadvoice.com. It is not meant to be a podcast, voicemail only system. It is actually kind of like a Vonage deal. They're a voice over IP telephone service where you can do your telephone over your internet service provider. And so I tried this service out a long time ago. I really decided I wanted the landline. I wanted something that was pretty much going to be there all the time. Even if my internet goes out, I wanted to still have access to my landline. And so I decided to do that, but I realized I wanted to keep the service for my voicemail only. Now I pay like $15 a month for this service. Now for me, it's worth it. I mean, my podcasting is my career, and so and I have I've launched over 20 different podcasts. I get about 15 to 30, maybe sometimes as many as 50 voicemails a week on this thing. So it's worth it for me to have this service and to pay $15 a month. It's just total value there. Now, the reason why I'm using Broad Voice is because the voicemail quality is so much higher on Broad Voice compared to other services that I've tried. Now, if you go to podcastanswerman.com/voicemail, again, that's podcastanswerman.com/voicemail. I have an article that I wrote, a blog post that I wrote about voicemail for podcasters. And basically, if you look there, I think I still have mentioned K7 Unified. It's the thing that everybody was using in podcasting when we all first started out, and it's a free service. And read what I wrote about it. It's not even worth me talking about it here because I just don't like it. I don't even think it should be considered, and maybe I'll update that post one of these days and completely take it off, because I really think that if you're not going to go for a super high cost broad voice option, or something else similar to this, then I think you should consider just using a Google Voice number, creating a separate Google account and maybe firing up a Google Voice. Google Voice is free, by the way. The only thing is Google Voice, while it's free and you can choose some, customized numbers to a certain degree, I'm not happy at all with the quality of the recording. So let me just go to google.com/voice. I mean, it's not horrible. It's really not horrible, but it's not great. So I'm trying to see who has called in here. I want to make sure I don't give out anybody's phone number, but I'm just going to click play right here for just a second and see what this...
Hi, Cliff. It's Scott Plaskett calling. I sent you an email yesterday, and I just wanted to follow up on that. My
All right, so that's...
address is Scott.
Whoa, I don't want your email address on here. All right, so let's see. Here's another one here.
Hey, Cliff Ravenscraft, it's Connie Williams. Hey, I just wanted to call and tell you that several weeks ago when we had Peggy Decay on our show, she's the author of Self-Publishing for Virgins. I was so surprised when I was reading
So here's the thing, Connie, that's Connie Williams. And by the way, Connie, I just now realized you sent me a voicemail. I'll have to respond to you here soon. So sorry I haven't got to you yet. It's 6 days ago. Wow. But anyway, that's a Google Voice. Listen to the audio quality of this.
Hey, Cliff Ravenscraft, it's Connie Williams. Hey, I just wanted to call and tell you that several weeks ago...
It's just not great. I mean, it's not horrible, but it's not great. And Google Voice is pretty much like that. Now, it works great for my personal voicemail service for my own business here because, I can, it notifies me of things. I can download those MP3 files and put them in my customer files so I can remember, when somebody's left me a message, what they said, and all kinds of stuff. But it's not something personally that I want to play on my shows. I mean, I prefer really getting some good high quality voice recordings, and that's why, I do prefer doing it the other way. So yeah, Broad Voice is what I use, but I personally would not look down on anybody who decided to go the free route. Google Voice is the way to go there. By the way, I have a client of mine who, actually, she was one of my podcasting A to Z students, and she signed up for Broad Voice, and she was able to get it cheaper monthly than I'm currently paying. And she signed up for this whole bring your own device thing, and I think she found that they had an iPhone app or something like that, and was able to get it even cheaper. So let me just go to broadvoice.com. And let's see here. If I do bring your own device, let's see here. I believe iPhone, iPod Touch is one of the items here. And it says here that you would need to use the Fring for iPhone or the Siphon for iPhone or VNet SIP phone for iPhone app. So there are 3 different iPhone applications that would allow you to use the service. They even have, setup instructions exactly how to make all of this work. And well, technically speaking, you could actually start using your Broad Voice service with them. And then you can just choose the cheapest plan that offers you voicemail. And how I have mine configured, I have it configured in such a way that it says send a voicemail after 0 rings, which means that it doesn't even ring once. It just, you call 859-795-4067 and by golly, you immediately go right into voicemail. And then it records it as a little tiny WAV file. And then as soon as you hang up, it emails me to feedback@gspn.tv. It emails me an email with attached WAV file. I don't have to go to a site and get it. It's actually an email in my inbox with the WAV file attached. And then, of course, I have a filter set up on my Gmail to where anything that's sent to feedback@gspn.tv automatically gets a label and it gets automatically archived, so it never actually sits in my email in my inbox. And then once a week, I go into my labeled feedback, and I see all the files that are all the emails that are in there. Some of them are emails from people written. Some of them are these voicemails, and I just go in and download the WAV file and remove the label feedback as I go along. And then, of course, I tell some people, hey, if you can call in at 859-795-4067, but if you happen to have an application on your iPhone or some other method of recording an audio file of any type, why don't you go ahead and record it that way, send that file as an attachment to feedback@gspn.tv, and then you can get even higher quality voice feedback for your show. So, Tim, I hope that is helpful. And when it comes to higher quality feedback and people attaching it, we'll get to James in just a minute. But before I do, I want to let you know a couple different things. For those of you who are anywhere near the Chicago area, Chicago, Illinois, I am going to be speaking at the Financial Blogger Conference. That's at financialbloggerconference.com. Again, this is Financial Blogger Conference. It's on the weekend. It's Saturday, October 1st and Sunday, October 2nd. Now, I'm not the only person speaking there. Obviously, they have a bunch of other speakers, but Pat Flynn from smartpassiveincome.com and a good friend of mine, he and I are both speaking at this conference. And Pat and I have both decided that we are going to go to Chicago a day early. We're spending an extra day in Chicago. And we're going to go there on Friday, September, is that 30th or 31st? I can't remember. Hold on, let me look at is there ever a 31st? I don't think there is. So Friday, September 30th, it shows you how much I paid attention in school, right? Anyway, downtown Chicago, Friday, September 30th, 4 p.m. to 9 p.m. So, you got up to 5 hours you can hang out with us or anytime during that time. And we're going to have a meetup. It's going to be folks from Pat's community over at smartpassiveincome.com and my community here at gspn.tv and Podcast Answer Man. Would love to have you join us. If you want information about coming to the meetup, go to gspn.tv/Chicago meetup. Again, that's gspn.tv/Chicago meetup. That'll forward you to the Facebook event page that we created. And so far, we got 18 people that are planning to show up that day. It's still about a month it's still a month and a half away. So it looks like we're going to have pretty good attendance. I would encourage you to come out if you're anywhere near the Chicago area. All right, next thing I want to tell you about, another announcement here, PodCamp Cincinnati. My friends, if you haven't heard about it, it's going to be awesome. It's going to be held at NKU. They have they finally nailed down a contract with the venue, and it's a brand new portion of their university, and it's just awesome looking. Trying to see if I can find the name of it in here where it's at. Let's see. We're very happy to announce Northern Kentucky University's College of Informatics has eagerly stepped up to co-sponsor and host PodCamp Cincinnati. So this place is going to be amazing. If you go over to podcampcincinnati.com, you can see a picture of this building. It's brand new. And not only that, but you can go there to register to present. It's something I still haven't done myself. I need to go in there and register to present. You can be assured that I'm certainly going to register to event. And in fact, I'm going to go to my to-do list right now. To do today/tomorrow. Register for PodCamp Cincinnati. All right. And for those of you who do sign up to speak at PodCamp Cincinnati, there are speaker badges and, or if you're just coming, maybe you don't plan on speaking, but I think there's a thing that says I'm attending PodCamp Cincinnati. There's badges and all kinds of other stuff. Just click on the promote tab and you'll find some information there to help promote PodCamp Cincinnati. I know that PodCamp Cincinnati is still looking for some more sponsors as well. So if you're out there and you want to help sponsor PodCamp Cincinnati, it's going to be great. I already know that there are a few of you who are listening to Podcast Answer Man. You're in our community here and you're planning to come to Cincinnati. That's awesome. I can't wait to meet you guys. And if you are coming and you haven't told me already, please let me know. I would love to make sure that I meet up with you and we'll have a great time. All right. So I think that's my announcements there that I have for Podcast Answer Man. We're now going to go to that really nice, awesome, high quality voicemail feedback. Actually, it's not voicemail. He's recorded it locally. And this is James with a tip about free podcasting.
Hello, Cliff. This is James Festini from jamesfestini.com. I wanted to bring up a thing that I had discovered recently in the world of podcasting. And after going back and forth with a lot of the top providers of hosting for podcasting, from doing it myself and going to the bigger ones like Libsyn and Podbean and back and forth, I actually came across Posterous. Now, Posterous, whether you know it or not, allows you the opportunity to upload 100 megabytes per day onto their site. Now, if you take the URL feed from there, put it into Feedburner, Feedburner will give it to iTunes. There you go. You've got a brand new free podcast. So I don't know how many of your users would know or are concerned about spending money on hosting, but right there is a free alternative to hosting your podcast over at Posterous. Just wanted to let you guys know that the option is out there, and hopefully some of your fellow listeners, our fellow listeners, will actually go out there and start their own cast. Thanks again for all of that you do, and have a good day.
James, thank you so much for your voicemail feedback and the tip there. I do want to throw some caution out to those who just heard that and who are already really excited. I have never looked at the terms of service of Posterous, but my goodness, I cannot imagine they would be happy with some of the podcasts that might go up as a result of this. Now, if your podcast is, hey, I don't know, the recycle, reuse, the reduce, recycle, reuse podcast. We're going to talk about each week about recycling efforts and how you can help, save the environment. Now, chances are, maybe if you do a really good job, you get that thing, knock it out of the park and have thousands of subscribers. But chances are you're probably going to start off with, 50 subscribers, maybe 60, 70, maybe 100, maybe even 200. And potentially, if you recorded a 30-minute show once a week for your reduce, reuse, recycle podcast, chances are you may fly under some kind of radar. But I'm going to just give you an example. My wife and I, we just launched probably just about 2 or 3 months ago, we launched the Hunger Games Fan Podcast. This is a book, and it's a book, by the way, I had never heard of before. It's been out for years. I had never heard of this thing, never heard anybody mention it until Stephanie mentioned it. And then all of a sudden, after I heard Stephanie mention it, and we started to decide, hey, let's launch a podcast about this series of 3 books. It's getting ready to turn into a movie. Now, all of a sudden, I'm hearing about it all the time. And we've helped actually a couple hundred people fall in love with the story. And we put it in iTunes. And it didn't take us very long. Now, everybody who submits a new podcast and gets a few subscribers, a handful of subscribers, you can make it into the new and notable section, no problem at all. That's a no-brainer, and it's good to get there, and that's fun. But we actually made it into the top 10 of all podcasts in the literature category in which we were in. And I want to tell you right now, within a month, we already, we're over 5,000 subscribers, and we're well beyond that now. And I can tell you right now, let's just say I did that for 4 weeks, I put the first few episodes on Posterous. Now, here's the situation. All of a sudden, now, let's just say all of the Hunger Games fan sites out there are doing articles on me about the Hunger Games fan podcast over at hungergamespodcast.com. And all the blogs are starting to talk about us, and all of these other things are going on. And let's just say over the course of the second and third month, I pick up about 5,000 or 6,000 subscribers, and we're on episode 22. Guess what's going to happen? Those people are going to go back. Those 5,000 to 6,000 people are going to go back and download episodes number 1 through 25. I'm going to tell you right now, I have not read the Posterous terms of service, but I'm almost positive that Posterous is going to come knocking on your door, or your account will be suspended. I would have to imagine that you would be shut down if you start getting, any more than 200 or 300 downloads per episode. So when it comes to not spending money on hosting, what you have to think about, in my mind, and maybe that's the wrong language. I've learned that I shouldn't say those things. I shouldn't phrase things that way. So what I have to imagine, in my mind, when I hear I am not willing to pay for media hosting, then what I'm saying is that there's probably a free alternative that I can get by with for a while. And as soon as I say that, well, how do I get by with it for a while? Well, that means that I've got to probably stay around 100 or less subscribers, or else I'm going to start running to some issues, and people are going to, these people over at Posterous are going to get really upset if all of a sudden, 1,000 or more people are downloading my episode every single week. That's, 50 to 75 megabytes. And then all of a sudden it's like, now I find myself creating something. I'm enjoying it. I'm loving it more than I ever thought I would. And now I'm just hoping that people don't find out about it. I'm hoping people don't tell other people about it. I'm hoping people don't find this show. I'm hoping I stay small, and that's where I start the thinking. Now, I'm not completely against this idea. I mean, obviously, if you wanted to just say, hey, my first podcast test, and I'm not sure I really want to do this thing, I'm not really all that applied to it. It sounds to me like Posterous is going to work great. I can tell you right now, I could probably do a 20-minute tutorial screencast of here's me signing up for Posterous. Here's me naming my thing. Here's me doing this. Here's me doing that. And here's my Posterous account. Now here's my RSS feed. Here's me taking the RSS feed from Posterous and sending it over to Feedburner. Here's me taking the Feedburner feed and now taking it to, actually before you do that, you'd have to actually put a link to an MP3 file. So here's me recording a 5-minute MP3 opening. Here's me putting a link in a blog post on Posterous to an MP3 file. Now taking the RSS feed from Posterous, sending it over to Feedburner, taking the Feedburner feed, and then throwing it into iTunes. And by golly, immediately, yes, do I have a podcast in iTunes? Yes, I do. Is it absolutely 100% free, not costing me a penny? Yes, it is. But my word of caution to you is you just better hope you don't get too popular, because you will get shut down. Of course, the big thing is, feel free to try it that way as long as it doesn't violate their terms of service. Again, I admit to you fully right now, I have not looked at the terms of service, but make sure it doesn't violate their terms of service. And if it doesn't, and you want to try that and see if you can fly under some radars there for a while, then by all means, make sure that you do not submit your RSS feed from Posterous to iTunes. That would be a huge, gigantic, colossal mistake. Take your RSS feed from Posterous, send it through Feedburner, and take your Feedburner feed and submit it to iTunes. That way, if Posterous shuts you down, which I imagine they will if you get popular, when they shut you down, then you can easily go and create yourself a WordPress site or some other site. Go and get yourself, pay a little money for some media hosting, and by golly, then you can just pull the RSS feed from there, go over to Feedburner and say, hey, this original feed is no longer at Posterous. I want you to start pulling it from my WordPress site now. And then you're all good to go, and you won't lose a single subscriber. It's the beauty of using WordPress. My friends, that's what I would do. Now, first and foremost, I just... Personally, I don't think I would go that route, but I understand that there is, the idea of starting a podcast for free. There's a ton of ways to do it. I'll tell you a way you could do a podcast for free and easy is this thing called Audio Boo. Just go and create yourself an Audio Boo account, and by golly, they give you a ton of free storage as well, and they actually are meant to kind of create podcasts. And I would do the same thing. Don't let Audio Boo don't take your RSS feed and let Audio Boo submit that to iTunes. Get your Audio Boo RSS feed, throw it through Feedburner, do the same thing. You always want to have some kind of control over that, so no third-party host is going to hold your RSS subscribers hostage. This will not be a good situation. So that's another way to do it for free. Another way to do it for free is to run it off of Blogger or any other hosting service, or even Posterous for that matter. Posterous could care less if you use their blogging platform for your show notes and your RSS feed. The only thing is instead of putting your 100 megabyte file or less file on Posterous servers, why not go over to archive.org, just archive.org, and see if you can't figure out how to get an account for free over there to post your files. The only thing about that is you get what you pay for, which means that their servers are sometimes just missing, they're down, and they're slow as snot. I mean, seriously, I can download an episode of Podcast Answer Man in like 2 minutes. And it could take 20 minutes off of archive.org most of the time. So, kind of what you get, what you pay for. But James, I hope that this wasn't me kind of just shooting holes in your theory there. It certainly can be done. I'm not saying you shouldn't do it, though I would recommend you read the terms of service. And I would believe, I'm not saying it would happen, but I would believe that even if it doesn't violate their terms of service, if you created a podcast that got anywhere near as popular as a Hunger Games fan podcast or something else that really just caught fire and you get 3 or 4 or 5, 6,000, 15,000 subscribers, by golly, I can I can almost assure you Posters is going to want some money from you, or more than likely you're just going to see your account suspended. It just plain flat and simple. It'll just shut down one day. So anyway, hey, I don't have this as an audio piece of feedback, but I know many of you are Mac users like me. I am a self-professed Mac snob. I used to hate people like me, people who are talking about how much they love their Macs and blah, blah, blah. It's like, whatever, shut up, seriously. But now I'm one of those people. I am a self-professed Mac snob. I have more Macs than I know what to do with now, and I will not touch a PC in my house. So that's who I am. That's what I do. But let me tell you, something's happened with the most recent version, with the most recent software update to the Mac OS, especially for those of you who are on Snow Leopard and Lion and you get the most recent version of iTunes. You notice that all of a sudden you've been tagging your files, and now when you go to the ID3 tag editor software or some other tagging software you might be using, and stuff like that, you go and you update it, and boom, you did everything right, and you look at your desktop, and it's still got that black background with the ash gray music note icon on there, and by golly, your graphics, not your artwork, your ID3 artwork is not there. This is not a problem. Your artwork more than likely is there. You might want to just load it up in your ID3 tag software again, or iTunes, and drag it open and look and see if the artwork's there and displaying the way it should. And if it is, then you're good to go. The thing is MP3 artwork preview is broken again in the Mac OS. And it happened on my Snow Leopard when I updated to the most recent version of iTunes. And by golly, I upgraded to Lion, and it's still broken in Lion as well. Hopefully we'll get a new version of iTunes before too long, and hopefully they'll fix it again. This has happened in the past, and I do know that it is iTunes, and it's not just you. So I know that I just put a lot of your minds to ease out there. So that's a little extra for you. And I'm going to wrap things up. I'm going to start my music right here, and it's going to give me 3 minutes and 30 seconds to tell you that the podcasting A to Z course is coming up starting Monday, September 12th. I really want to encourage you, even if you've done it before, go to podcastinga2z.com. Again, podcastinga2z.com. Even if you've done it before, go look at the new video. I just invested a good sum of money to professionally produce a video that I think gives a better feel for the quality and the value that I believe should be put into this course. And it's a great way to learn what all's involved. I got a professional voiceover done on it. I've got a professional video job on it. It looks beautiful. And here's the thing, 66 of you who are listening to this podcast right now, 66 of you are featured in that video. 66 of you. And in fact, I see some people in the chat room right now, just two that are on the most recent page of the chat room right now. I happen to know that Daniel Lewis and Jonathan Nation are both featured on there. And so anyway, yeah, fun stuff. Go check it out, Podcasting A to Z. By the way, if you are a member of my mailing list, you can use promo code PAM for Podcast Answer Man and give you $99 off the cost of the course. Just use that in the discount code field when you sign up. The spacing is limited. We still got another, it starts in about a month from now. So I'm getting ready to ramp up the marketing. I've got some affiliates out there I'm really excited about. Hopefully we'll sell this thing out again. Tons and tons of value in this course. I'm not kidding. I know I say it a lot, but I'm looking forward to, over the next week or two, I'm going to be doing some interviews with some other people who have taken the course to get their testimonials, just to put those up on the site. But I'm most excited about the video. Go check out the video, podcastinga2z.com. Guys, if you have not launched your podcast and you've just been waiting and you need some help, and by the way, for those of you who have been podcasting for a couple of weeks, couple months, stuff like that, this is a course great for you too. This is not just for beginners. In fact, the last course, in all the prior courses that I've had some seasoned podcasters in there. And the thing is you get unlimited access to ask me as many questions as you want for 4 weeks. And here's the deal. Every time you post a question, I do answer it. Every question. And by the way, I have a good friend of mine who took the course, and by golly, he asked about 15 questions per day. Okay, maybe that's a little bit of an exaggeration, but he'll even admit it himself. He asked a lot of questions on a daily basis, and I answered every one of them. And so yeah, check it out, podcastinga2z.com. My friends, that's going to wrap it up here. God bless you all. Until next time, I encourage you to join the community.